All right, so we're trying to get the live streams up and going. Hopefully, everything is working real quick. We're going to be editing one of the photos with Jocelyn today, but I just want everybody to have an idea of what we're doing and how and why and when and all that stuff. So, there's some updates in this thing. What's this mean? All right. Anyway, so I'm just going to say. Uh, So let me take a quick look and just see if things are actually going like according to plans here. A little bit more of a warm up than usual. All right, welcome everybody um, to the most to the most recent update. Obviously, um, we're going to be editing one of our photos live today, everybody, just as previously promised. So hopefully everybody can see things pretty well. If you can't see it, go to YouTube, our YouTube channel. It's Biohertz Media. You can search for us on there. Um, See what's going on. If there are any questions and stuff like that, definitely let me know. This photo we're going to be working on today is from maybe earlier last month. Had an opportunity to shoot with Jocelyn. She's kind of an up and coming model in Chicago, and this was actually a really cool shoot to do. And this location was really nice. I really keep saying really. So I need to stop that. And also on the last broadcast, I noticed that I was saying and a whole lot. I think it's just a normal thing that I do, but it doesn't come across too well on video. So we're going to try to fix that. First thing we need to do though is take a look and see the type of things we need to edit for this photo. My first action is usually going to be just to create a copy of that background. If I know that it's a background that I want to keep, there's a couple things that I can see kind of right away. If I look, maybe I will just start by creating a little bit of a map for myself to know where the things are that I want to touch on. So just crank this thing up. Maybe little stuff like on the fridge there. A little bit of, maybe just a little bit of body shaping in here, 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 maybe here, I'm not sure. Maybe we can get rid of some elements that are on the shelves back there. Some elements here. Maybe, just maybe, this silver conduit line. Maybe certain things off of the shelf. But other than that, I think we can live with most everything that's going on in the shot. So I'll just keep that as a baseline layer, and maybe I'll just go ahead and save this as uh, a file here. And I'm gonna probably end up fighting my computer just a little bit. And yeah, that's okay. Alright, so now that we've kind of explored the image, we have a map. I'd say the first thing that I like to do is get in there and work with the shape of the body. And if I have some liquify stuff to do, this is the time I do it, because it allows me to have everything that I want to edit a little bit later on in the process. So if I just jump in here and say, okay, there's a couple of things that I want to work on, um, Maybe it'll just be some shaping in areas like right around here. So we'll start, just kind of pull. Curves are natural there, but anytime you put somebody in unnatural angles, like holding on the stairs, leaning back, you're going to get some different body shape stuff. And we can also pull in just a little bit here. But overall, just fantastic shapes, I think, in the overall body. We'll just kind of smooth out some different curves and things, but not much work needs to be done in that department. If you want to just snip and tuck a little bit, that's fine too. The fun part of this is that we're going to have this up on specialmag.com tonight. This is one of the photos that's going to be featured. So if you guys really like Jocelyn, who has this amazing face, the hair is unbelievable, you'll get a chance to see those photos tonight. So, and we've got a ton of other stuff up on the site already. So if you go to specialmag.com, you'll get a chance to see everything that we're doing. Got a couple of waves there. What's up, you guys? I won't be able to type responses because I'm not holding on to the the phone. It's sitting on a stand, so I will do my best to glance at my other phone that's showing the broadcast so I can see everything that people say and try to give responses. If people have questions, I will be able to reply to those questions too. So that's one of the things of it all. So it's just a little bit of push pull on certain areas. Again, it's not a ton of work that needs to be done here. She's got a great figure. So we're just working on smoothing some things out, making the curves work. I think next time I will be able to see the comments as they come in live on YouTube as well. So again, if you want to check this out on YouTube, it's Biohertz Media. We're also streaming on Periscope. We're also streaming on Facebook. And those are all going to be better quality streams than this because those streams are coming directly from the computer. They're not coming from the phone. Instagram is still kind of held out on us and not allowed us a way, as far as I know, to input video streams from secondary sources. They still want everything to come from the phone. Now that I've got the body shape kind of ironed out, we'll go into these other sections. Click drag. So I'm just using I always wonder what the name of this thing is, the patch tool. Yeah. So we're just going to use the patch tool to go around and get up some of the dirty areas that are on the walls, heal up some stuff in the background that needs to be fixed. It doesn't matter. I've kind of gone right to left on this photo, but it doesn't matter if you're right to left or whatever. It's sometimes easier to have a map and say, I'm going to work on the background, I'm going to work on the model. Whichever you do, as long as you get it done, it's fine. And again, I'm using my super simple technique for retouching, which is duplicate the layer that you want to edit on first and do background repairs or just major skin repairs. In this case, all I'm doing is fixing things that overall just don't need to end up in the final image. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for music. I am streaming some music today, a little bit in the background. Can anybody hear the music? I wonder. Kind of helps move me along just a little bit. So, again, I'm in here just clicking and dragging, trying to repair texture and stuff like that in the skin. The computer runs a little bit slower when I'm doing this. I've said before, right now you're looking at my primary monitor, but I'm mirroring that monitor to my Wacom Cintiq Companion 2. Each time I've done this, I probably have talked about wanting to upgrade this, but all in due time. All in due time, we'll get a chance to probably get that Surface Pro, or what do they call it? The Surface Studio. I've had my eye on that for a little while. I tested it out one time, but they didn't have Photoshop and everything I wanted to use on there. Hey, Olivia. Didn't have everything that I wanted to use there, so I had to just test it out with some sort of a paint program. But I would definitely want to get an opportunity to try out what they have to offer for something as powerful as Photoshop. And I kind of skipped out the section where we're talking about the processing and color tones and all that. That was already established, and it, it's really boring to look at in a way to me. So I'm just I'm just getting to the good stuff for the most part. Well, here's something that we're doing right now. So a little bit of hair marks or something like that. Little rash from shaving. This is one of the same areas where you can either use the patch tool, or you can go in with the healing brush tool, and this is something that I'll use. Just set this to lighting if you want to get rid of darker areas, and then you can click and drag, which might be a little bit faster than lassoing a bunch of stuff over and over. You're just clicking in lighter areas and then dragging them over the darker areas. This is something I use more heavily when I get to the texture layer for the frequency separation, but it can certainly be used in other times and places. The reason I don't use it as much here is because if you could really see this, there's some things that get left behind a little bit more easily when you're working on a color layer, not just a texture layer. But if I just turn those on and off, clearly you can see the difference between uh, a couple of minutes of work. And then you got the same thing on the other side, so we'll just knock this stuff out. I will be leaving this up for the 24 hours that Instagram does as well. We're going to keep the whole thing up on YouTube. We need some more YouTube people. So if there's there's followers here, check out the YouTube channel, Biohertz Media. I don't know how somebody beat me to Biohertz, but in the last year I've been using Biohertz for a long time. Probably the term I've been using for the last 10 years. I had everything for a while, but as more platforms pop up and time goes on, there's more and more people using that name, but I never saw it before we started using it. So anyway, I don't know who has Biohertz. Uh, it's somebody else, but we've got the .com and most everything else. I don't know why somebody else took it. So if you hear the pain and tears in my voice, that's what it's all about. All right, so we're moving through the legs pretty well. Some lighter spots on the legs, and you can do the reverse. So if I started out doing lighten, I can go into those brighter spots and go darken. It's still just, it's a little bit early to be doing this. I normally will save this for frequency separation. This is for larger scale issues, something like this. I'm going to go back to my patch tool, come in and just grab these little stretchies. We're probably going to get rid of those in the final. I know that it's not 100% realistic, but I'm not worried about that. I'm not necessarily trying to be 100% realistic. I'm just trying to create an image here. It's kind of a fantasy world where perfection, or kind of close to perfection, like you can't, you in the end you shouldn't really be able to tell the difference whether I edited this or not. Of course, if there's no flaws in the skin, it's gonna look like it's been edited. That's normal. But we try to strike a balance between those two. And to me, that's the retouching that I like to see. I could make anything look like it's just been airbrushed to death, but I still want the photo to look very authentic. I want it to look like it has texture. So I try not to wipe out every single shred of detail or skin or every even imperfection. Sometimes I do leave a little bit there. And so that's what I'm working on now. Alright, so an on off, before and after on that, we're making some progress. Doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen eventually. I'm trying to keep a little bit of track of time because I don't want this to go over an hour. I'd like to be able to do it in 30 minutes, but that's not going to happen today. It's just more areas to touch. And on another side of things, my back is killing me today. I don't know exactly what happened. I got up this morning, moved around. I got out of bed for a little bit and got back in, got back up, and when I got back up, my back was just killing me today. So this chair is probably not doing the best for me. I'm going to try to get the work done that I can, and then go ahead and lay it down, man. It's going to be early night in bed for me because this back is giving me some problems. Curly Locks, hello. I'm glad you joined us for a little bit. Is this kind of surreal, like watching yourself on screen? Yeah. But I like doing these on Mondays. And hopefully this will eventually lead to something more. I've got some ideas. Last week a lot of people were asking for a proper retouching tutorial, and I think it's probably time to do that. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and give it a shot, put something together, make a good solid case for why that thing should exist. Alright, so be on the lookout for that. Just keep doing our best to offer new things, work in new areas, and have a lot of fun along the way. I'm doing all this anyway, so if people can glean something from it, learn from it, by all means, take advantage of that. And take advantage of having me right now. If you got questions or want to know anything, or just talk, I got about 40 minutes left on this thing, max. So we can spend that time chatting or just getting to know each other in a way. Alright, so we filled the boobs up a little bit. There goes that dreaded uh, I think I do it out of habit or just space fillers. I don't even realize it. So when I get comfortable or when I'm not thinking or being conscious of it, it'll just jump out. But what I'm going to do is continue to just practice being more aware of it. It might slow my speech down a little bit and make me seem a little bit less natural, but I think in the end, just practicing something that I'm not necessarily good at will help me improve. And then when it's time for the actual real deal retouching tutorial, everything will sound good. I guess in that case I could edit things, but I don't want to go back over it. I just want to do it right. So that's how it works. If you guys notice, have been putting out a ton of sets lately. I think there were 4 or 5 new sets added to Special Mag last month, the month before that. So if you're a member on specialmag.com, you're really you're coming up these last few months. I've got my schedule a lot better than it was, so we're putting out a ton of stuff. And if you saw the video with Mila, it's kind of got its own style. We figured out a way to be able to put our style to everything that we're working on, and it looks pretty damn cool. So uh, definitely join up there if you want to support, help us keep creating new stuff. This is how we do it, day by day, set by set. Build this damn thing brick by brick. Holy hell, no idea photo editing was this in depth for retouching. Yeah, man, it gets it depends on how you're going about it. Right now I'm doing a full on deal. I'm working from the basics, all the way from skin up. I don't use any automated software. I don't use any plugins. I don't use any retouching panels. I don't do anything other than work with the pixels and work with what Photoshop has. And to me, that gives me full control. I'm a control freak about it. So, yeah. Oh yeah, man. If you're on Special Mag, man, definitely resubscribe. There's some shit on there. We got good stuff. And yeah, if you're seeing this, this is my process. This is what I'm going through to create these images for the site for the most part. But yeah, if you're helping Chicago artists, by all means, it means so much. It really does. Every time that there's a new subscriber, I want to be able to do a lot more, and maybe we can do some sort of a Chicago meet up, like a pizza night or something. That's one of the things that I really miss from I met Aaron Nace that way from Flern, and Flern has taken off and grown so much, but he was based in Chicago, and how I was introduced to him was the dude had a pizza party for people who were interested in learning Photoshop. And then the next day, we went to his house and worked on one of the tutorials. It was a really impactful moment for me. Uh, so yeah, pizza night. All right. Yeah, I definitely will try to put something together because it's fun. Being behind a computer is one thing, but there's a whole world out there to interact with and just meet people, have fun, do stuff that uh, this is what social media should really be allowing us to do is truly connect with other people. I think down the road and just say, hey, this is part of what the world, the real world is, and not just being stuck behind our phones all the time. So I'm glad. I'm glad somebody's talking too, because sometimes talking through this stuff gets kind of annoying. And this isn't quite a tutorial. This is more just straight up working on stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I did meet Aaron, and we worked to, I want to say, worked on a couple of things there. Uh, it was not ultimately meant to be that I worked at Flern, but Aaron was cool, very talented guy and driven. Started was doing the tutorials and stuff literally out of his living room when he started out. He was he was doing them out of his living room and grew and grew and grew, and now Flern is just a beast. He's putting out a ton of work, and it's inspirational and kind of leads me to, I think, the direction that I can ultimately go in. He's shooting a whole different genre of stuff, but it's nothing that it's nothing that doesn't translate to this. And there's other ways. I want to work on some bigger projects too that have a lot to do with bringing some more elements into the glamour industry. For a lot of people who may not know, I have a background in 3D modeling and animation, stuff like that, before I got into this. So I think it'd be really nice to bring in some 3D elements and some more fantasy elements into the shoots that I'm doing. One of the models that I work with that's on Special Mag, Lacey Cosplay, is obviously in her name. She's really big into cosplay. And she's her last convention, Chicago Comic Con or something like that, was just going on over the weekend. She had a fantastic outfit. It was just amazing, and I want to do a shoot with her in that, but just do it up with the lighting and effects and environment, and make it something really really cool. Yeah, a glamour side for Flern would be excellent. It takes a while to kind of build some of this stuff, and I had to build legs for this platform one at a time. The first one is Special Mag, and I think that draws people in a little bit more. And then once that name is established, the whole aspect of the other elements can start to come in. So the training aspect can come in. Oh, it was C2E2. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do I still do 3D work? Yeah, I do. I do focus. I'm primarily a character modeler, but I understand how to model pretty much other things. I also do like motion graphics work and stuff like that. So it's all of the above, but I would probably like to be a photographer more full time and pull in the elements that I've learned from the other disciplines into that. Am I working on the color or texture at the moment? I'm working on everything. It's still flat right now, and I don't have any breakdown of the layers. I'm moving a little bit more slowly, but it's okay. I don't have a big problem with that because I'm hitting some of the stuff that I'm gonna have to work on later. But if you look at the before and after just on the legs, you can kind of see some of the areas that we're cleaning up, right? And we're working on the texture and the skin, setting up people uh, Twitch scenes. No, I haven't done that. I haven't. There's so many aspects to this that I've really been focusing on this, but as I've started to wake up a little bit to some other things, saying what I need to do for Special Mag and saying what I need to do for retouching and things like that, I think I'll have to get into some more of those areas. So, yeah, drop me a line. Tell me a little bit more what you're talking about Twitch scenes and stuff, because if it's a new, it's an avenue that I can go down. 3D is kind of labor intensive as well, especially if you're building original assets from the ground up. It takes some time, so there has to be either money or some cheaper, faster ways to do it. I'm looking into some other things right now, especially talking about cheaper and faster. I've got, you can have ideas in your mind from time to time. Like, I was going to work on building a 3D model and turn it into a toy for one of the popular models that I've worked with. It's just labor intensive and it's financially costly as well to build those things out. So you definitely want to put your resources where they're going to be, most beneficial. And maybe that'll be something like a Patreon or a what's the websites where people get money to build like GoFundMe or something like that for a project. All right, maybe that'll be something that is worth it on that end. So I'm just I moved off the model a little bit and gone into the background to clear up some areas. Couple things up here I don't love. I don't really love these red cups. I don't know why. I just want to get rid of them. So just using the patch tool and a drag, clear that thing up. Yeah, 3D is a ton of effort. Indiegogo, yeah. 3D is, I mean, it takes some time. It takes some time. But I loved it. Still do, but I spend more of my time doing this. Alright, now I'm trying to think. I'm going to do a quick swipe on this to see if it's something I care about getting rid of. Getting rid of this pole in the background, or this conduit. I think there's just electricity and stuff running through here, some wires. If I can move this stuff over and get rid of it, maybe it'll be a little bit less of a distraction in the background. I don't mind it. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put it back in. And that's the beauty of working kind of non-destructively like that. You can just go in there and say if you like something or if you don't. So after I've gotten all this to where I think it's pretty good, now it's time to go ahead and do my frequency separation. So I better save this thing. And I just use a frequency separation action that I have set from years ago. It's the same one. Maybe like 2 years I've been working with the same frequency separation. Now I'm just going to work on the color layer and start to paint out some of this stuff. So I need to take my brush down to I do about 17% opacity, 18% in this case. I usually go under 20 because it just matches the sensitivity of how hard I press on my tablet and how hard and how much flow comes out of the brush. This is a personal preference thing, and if the tutorial comes around, I'm not going to be saying you have to set it at this. You might set it higher. You might set it lower. It's just going to be dependent upon your own personal skill, your own, not skill, but your own preference, your own touch. Some people don't like to go in the method that I do. I set my flow all the way up, and then I only use opacity to determine the amount of color that's going to come out of my brush every time I make a stroke. In tutorial, I'll explain exactly what those do. I'll say what flow actually does, what opacity actually does, and how they work together. And you can work with them both simultaneously, but it's just not where my comfort level is. Also, I don't use brush size when retouching with the pen tool. I control my brush size every stroke. Do I shoot with any film? And what camera do I use? I am using the Sony A7 III, or I think that's what I'm using. I was a long time Canon user, still prefer the Canon interface. But what Sony was able to do with mirrorless cameras just took the game in another direction for me. Now Canon is starting to come up in that area. They're releasing, I guess, their R5 pretty soon, and it looks really good. Last year they did the EOS R or something, whatever, but it still wasn't set to me. It still wasn't quite there. And then they've also been releasing their R lenses. They might bring me back eventually, because that interface is still just so much better than Sony. I've been using Sony for about a year, maybe a little bit over a year. Do I shoot with any film? No. I understand the appeal of it, but nah. You can simulate, mostly can't. Exactly. The 4K, the eye autofocus video capabilities, 4K video eye autofocus, it was just well beyond anything that Canon had out at the time. And mirrorless, literally see what the shot will look like through the viewfinder before you snap the camera. Come on. Just that just brought a whole new a whole new level to the game that now it's kind of happening, but at the time there was none of that. So right now we're still working on the skin. I'm sorry, we're working on the color aspect of this right now, and I'm just doing huge click drags to smooth out the skin. Do I need to be doing all this intently? Probably not, but I have to do some. And you're gonna see she's a very fair skinned model, so there's a lot of little shifts and tones and colors and stuff like that go on in here. She's got some reds and different things going on. I'd say we're about 2/3 of the image, 2/3 of the way through this thing, so we're about on schedule. But going back to settle out the whole thing about film, I think that we're using our cameras right now to essentially simulate film. You can almost simulate film with filters and presets and stuff that I don't know if it really makes sense for me to be going with film. And film, it was expensive. I was using it in college, and it was expensive. I don't really want to go back to that again. But I do understand the idea of being able to use it as a discipline to slow yourself down and improve your craft through careful planning and actual knowledge and execution. I don't know if it will ever matter. It's kind of like using a record player or something like that. I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's important when you have really really high quality digital music. It's maybe not the same, but it's pretty damn good. What kind of computer do I have? I can tell more about those specs, but I'm using a Cyber Power PC I got that was kind of a custom build for editing. It's not super duper powerful, but what I will say is that it's kind of tuned for this sort of thing. So it's got a decent amount of RAM. At the time, it was a decent amount of RAM, maybe 16 gigs of RAM or something like that. But the big thing is the hard drives in this thing. I don't have a hard drive, or maybe I do have just one, but it's not the one that my operating system is on. If you want to do this work and you want it to be quick, you better be using a solid state drive as your main drive, and then another solid state drive as your cache, and then another solid state drive as your work for your working files. The cache being solid state will allow you to quickly save things for quick access without taxing the primary computer, that the primary drive that is running your software. And then you want to be saving your files to a solid state drive so that they save quickly and that they can be recalled quickly. So those have changed the game. The drives, you can be working on a pretty slow computer processing wise. As long as your hard drives are fast, you're going to gain a lot of speed. It's the cheapest way that you can upgrade your computer and get a lot of speed out of it. So that's a good question. I am violating one of those rules right now. I'm saving files to a traditional old school hard drive, one with the plates and spins up and everything else. Because while solid state drives are really fast, they are very expensive once it comes to large size memory files and stuff like that. And you don't want to be paying that much money for solid state drives. Eventually, the price is going to come down. Yeah, the prices are but still in comparison to like a big beefy solid state drive. I mean, a big beefy hard drive. They're still kind of better for archiving stuff right now. Um, but yeah, I use one from my Lightroom catalog. I use one for. I got a bunch of them. I got one that I use just for transferring files over. Hey Vic, I talked to you earlier today about the car wash thing. Uh, Good to see you on here. We gotta get a shoot going together one day. I don't know if you stayed on or not, but it's funny because Instagram. I don't know if they're still doing this, but Instagram would like send these notifications as soon as you get on that somebody's live, and then you're like clicking into their live without even trying it. But M2's got here, yeah, yeah. It's always gonna get faster. There's just gonna be more and more stuff. It's a weird sort of a time, and you hear them talking about what's going on with cameras and how the industry has decreased over the past year, but the cameras are getting better and better. Well, the cycles are increasing too, so they're constantly putting newer and newer stuff out, And people are trying to buy it and keep up with it, but we just can't. I can't rebuild a computer every year, so I mean, maybe once the money's better, but right now I'm just trying to always squeeze and maximize, get the best I can out of this thing. Okay, so this is a good time for me to save. I've done what I think I can do with. I've done what I think I can do with my frequency separation. I have to make a decision on this section of her leg right here. And I've been waffling back and forth on it. I think I'm just going to brighten it up just to make it blend a little bit better. And then I'll go in and decide like how much to pull that back from a distance. Because I think there needs to be something there. Because it's normal, it's natural, but it doesn't need to be as much as I had it. Maybe that's a fine line. Maybe that's the touch between the two that I needed. Yeah, the processing speeds are going. They're always doubling. But did you hear about the fact that we might be nearing the end of that because of I, I don't want to come across wrong or say this the wrong way, but basically they've gotten the sizes of the pieces so small that manufacturing is going to start running into some quantum issues where the data won't be able to stay consistent between pieces. Like they're getting the aspects are getting so small that it's going to be hard to keep the data traveling along these tiny pieces without being able to jump to another line or jump to something else. So you're going to get, if they want to get faster, they're going to have to start to deal with some variations in quality and probably even more crashes and stuff like that. So yeah, future, yeah, it's interesting stuff for sure. In fact, I really would love to be able to just have that what's it that Elon Musk is kind of working on, that other company, the Neuralink. I'd like to have Neuralink installed so I can just quickly just recall this information and exactly where I saw it. Oh, okay. So back to this. I think that I've kind of done what I can do in terms of smoothing things out for the frequency separation. Now let's go ahead and do a final pass on top of all this. And in that final pass, we're going to go in and do kind of the old slick force technique where we're going over these areas, smoothing everything out with our stamp tool. Alright, so it's just a click drag. Sorry if this is sounding really terrible with all the clicks and clacks. I don't really have a smoother way to control that. So I think we're getting up to around 50 minutes. Let me look and see where we are on Restream.io. We're on the dashboard. Let me click and see. Alright, it's not really showing me. It's not really showing me. It says that I'm online, but I can't really see the stream anywhere else. So I think we're kind of nearing the end of this. Maybe another 15 minutes at the most. And then I got just a little bit of client work to do. And then I'll post a couple images from this tonight. And then I'm resting the back. I did something. Must have been fighting creatures in my dreams or something. How does it say anywhere how long the live has been going on? Thanks for rocking with me, man. I appreciate it. You've been adding some levity to this thing, making me think and work. and giving something fun to talk about. So I appreciate that. All right. So yeah, this whole thing is just me going out, smoothing out some of these rougher areas. There's another, there's a smaller way to do this that I'm kind of bypassing a little bit in lieu of this. I think that way might be a little bit slower, more accurate, but a little bit slower. Okay. So it doesn't say how long I've been on, which is kind of like a casino trick, I'm sure, right? No clocks when you're watching live. Just stay on. Don't, whatever you do, just stay on Instagram. So Instagram, I'm trying to give you guys what you want. They show you these numbers of who's watching, or quantity of people who are watching, and also how many people are watching or coming to your profile per week. And if you're doing what I'm doing, there is a correlation between how much money I make and how many people come to my Instagram page. So it's kind of playing this game of trying to make Instagram happy enough that they will put my work in people's timelines and feeds. And because it's funny, the more people they show the work, the more people like it, right? Oh, thank you, man. I know it's I gotta get my social media game up right now. I've al- I came from a little bit of a background where it's like do it, then show it. So it was always build something good, then have something to display and talk about and explain it. Or also going to an art school where you sometimes you made your work and you try to let it speak for itself. Nothing speaks for itself in the day of social media. You have to speak all the time. You have to say everything you're doing. You have to promote all the time. So I'm working on things, and then I might not even tell the entire world that, hey, it's coming out today. Look out for it today. Look out for it tomorrow. But I'm learning, and hopefully the brand and Special Mag and everything will continue to grow because of it. It's important to me, and I think the people have responded well to it. We just need more. Just need more people so we can do more stuff. But yeah, I don't really have a skill for that sort of thing. So we're working on some other stuff. We just kicked off. Also, yeah, we just kicked off an OnlyFans page to kind of have some of the behind a place for some of the behind the scenes stuff to live. We're working on that. So there's always a ton of stuff going on, and we're pushing it to the limit every single day. I don't think there's a day that goes by that we don't try to drop something on some channel or another, or working on it, or working on the site, or whatever. Just build a thing up. Okay. So last thing I'll do is on that final layer that I just painted everything on, all the texture's gone. So I'll go in and do a high pass filter on that, and then boom, I have it set to about 3.1 pixels. Okay, so that all looks pretty good to me. To finish this thing off, though, I do notice that there's a difference. If I look at my map, I didn't reference this. There's a difference in the colors here. I think the upper body is kind of more yellowish, and then I think it's more reddish down here. So there's a bunch of ways to do that. The easiest way to do it to me is just create a blend layer, and maybe knock this up 2 points towards yellow, 3 points towards yellow. I go 3. All right, and let's work on this. Invert this layer. Alright, and then we're going to paint over the top. And if you're ever painting a mask, it's white reveals, black conceals. So if I'm looking at my mask right here, I can see that it's black. If I want to be able to paint that at 100% opacity, now when I'm painting through, alright, that didn't work out at all. But yeah, here we go. Now I've got white. Boom. So now we're trying to match those colors a little bit more. And when you do that, I think that looks better. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Let me take a look at that, and we'll just see if it's better or worse. It's definitely better. But I think even then it's normal. Maybe we can just go down and affect the hue only. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so sometimes little things like that make a big difference. If I really wanted to go in and make some stuff pop more than others, I can go and just say do a little dodge and burn on here. And even the dodge and burn is non-destructive. Alright, so we'll go in, kind of clear some stuff up, maybe round some things out. Okay, and if you, her eyes, she's got these naturally kind of hazel greeny eyes. They look fantastic. I'm not gonna mess with those. I think it all looks really good to me, and it keeps the image still looking somewhat realistic, I think. So again, if we just want to do a comparison and just save that thing out. Okay, and do a comparison from the beginning to the end. That's about right. So just cleared up some stuff in the background. We used our map that we set in the beginning, had an idea of the direction that we wanted to go, and we got there. So all in all, it was a pretty cool retouch. I think we got it done in almost an hour's worth of time. So now, of course, if you want to check out the set, it is at specialmag.com. If you go to the main page, this is kind of like my little end of end of video. I'm probably not going to be. This is like an adult I spy seeing the differences. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, they're I don't go over the top, but I try to keep some things, working. All right, so if we take a look at the site, yeah, we got the new set with Mila here. We've got the new set with Jocelyn up. If you guys want to take a look, this is kind of like a little sneak peek action right now. So boom, these actually are up on the site right now. Everything is looking pretty damn crisp and sharp. If you're a fan of what we do, definitely stop by. This is a guest feature. There's no special kind of content for this. It's just a guest feature. She's kind of a new model, up and coming in Chicago, and did some really cool stuff for us. The title of it is Locks, and of course we've got our shop down here below where you can grab one of the sets for sale, or the Special Mag membership, and there is a ton of content up there. Every month it's growing. So if you just think that like every Friday we release at least one set, just this year so far we've already released like five sets a month or something like that. So there's 10 new ones there, and we've been going for about a year. We're going to be going all year long. So yeah, man, definitely resubscribe. There's some good stuff up there for you. This set will be up there. Sometimes I like to show this too, because I don't know if everybody gets a chance to see what it looks like. Go to the actual website. Instagram is one thing, but there's better stuff on the site, and if you have an opportunity to check it out on desktop, check it out on desktop too, because it looks even better over there. So thank you to everybody who's tuned in, everybody on all the platforms. Next week I will have it where I can see the comment. Right now I'm only seeing the comments on Instagram, which is unfortunate. Next week I will be able to see the comments from everybody on whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. We're streaming to all of those platforms, so we're trying to give it to you in every way possible. This is just one of them. So again, thank you guys for watching. Anytime that you can support the channel, we definitely would appreciate it. That's about it, guys. So everybody, all right, they cut me off there. So, all right, that's a wrap for all of this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out Special Mag.